Well, let's just jump right into it. I'm pleased to be joined in the studio with a sensation, Justin Labrash. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Now, I'm sure I know you're probably new to hearing you being referred to as a sensation, but
That's a new one, yeah.
But you got to admit it's a little catchy.
I don't mind it. Yeah, it's. I mean, I've been called a lot of things in my life, but sensation is new.
Justin, just give us a sense of your background, how you got into music, where you grew up. Just give us the kind of roots version of Justin Labrash.
Yeah, you betcha. Actually, funny. My first album was called Roots.
Hey.
Yeah. So I'm from Lumsden, Saskatchewan. Grew up on a farm. Grew up around farming. I'm a farm kid to the bone. And started playing music fairly young, and it just kind of took off, and so I decided to keep going with it and see where it goes.
So you had to balance like the farm chores with the practicing the music?
Yeah, basically. Actually, it's funny how I played guitar and played covers and whatnot, but I started songwriting when my dad gave me the option of practicing guitar or cleaning the garage. And I obviously chose practicing the guitar, and I ended up writing a song with him that night.
Get out.
While he was cleaning the garage.
I can hear it in your voice, but I can see your eyes kind of light up. That had to be a very special moment for you.
It was cool. It was neat because it was first time he'd songwrote and myself too. So it opened up doors for the both of us because, I mean, that was 5 years ago now, and just this past weekend we were both nominated for Songwriter of the Year at the Saskatchewan Country Music Awards. So it started cleaning in a garage, and it led to being nominated. So it was pretty neat, and to think back to where that all came from is kind of cool.
And just think it's 5 years, 20 years from now, when you've got a bunch of albums out there. That's the story you're gonna tell. That's got to mean a lot to your family, that's kind of where it all started.
Oh, yeah, definitely. My family is a huge support. I mean, my mom is on the road with me on this radio tour this week, and she helped organize everything while I was doing whatever. I don't even know. Right now, spring, the schedule is crazy.
But it's crazy good, right? I mean,
it's awesome.
It's good to be busy. I'm sure you're meeting a lot of people. Is this
Definitely.
the first radio tour you've done?
No, this is my... third or fourth, I think. My very first one might have been a little ambitious because I was 16 and it was my first single, and I spent 3 weeks on the East Coast. So I did Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, Newfoundland, and it was a long time to be away from home when you'd never been away from home for more than a couple days.
Yeah, but what's it like for a Saskatchewan boy to go to the East Coast? I mean, like, it's such a different lifestyle out there.
It's a culture shock. I mean, the people out there are wonderful, and I loved it. I loved the whole 3 weeks, but it was definitely different. Once you got onto PEI, though, it actually kind of felt like the prairies. It's very flat, and people are super friendly, so it kind of feels like home. But it was definitely interesting, and just kind of experiencing that for the first time really was a good slap of the face with reality of what being in the music business is going to be like.
Did it just kind of stoke the fire even more that, like, this is what you really want to do? You know, you experience it at 16. Is it like, all right, this is a reality check, but man, it just fires you up to go and do more?
Definitely, yeah. It every time I go out on the road for any reason whatsoever, especially when I play shows, it motivates me even more. I can't wait to go and do it again. I love being at home, don't get me wrong, but every time we get home from a run of shows, or a couple years ago we did a tour, and I got home, and it was weird because it's called the post-tour blues, where you don't have your friends around you the whole time, and you're not like going from one city to another, and it's a weird way to live, but you get comfy with it. And I got home, and I didn't have bus call at 5 a.m., and I didn't have a show that night, and I was like, what do I do?
You're not living out of a suitcase.
Yeah,
it's like your bed. It's got to be a weird little adjustment.
It was odd, and but it just made me want to go start booking more shows.
And that's always what you want, right? It's strange to be an artist because you got to kind of go out and you got to put yourself out there. when you were younger and you started that first radio tour at 16, even now, is it a little surreal to you that you have to go and sell yourself to different places and kind of be so open with so many different people?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and I'm naturally more of a shyer person, so it's an interesting career choice, where I have to meet lots of people and play music in front of thousands of people. But you know what? It's okay. I like it. But it is a little bit of an interesting concept, especially at first, how I had to really get used to it. My very first radio interview, I was shaking like a leaf. Like, I could not believe how nervous I was. I felt sick to my stomach, and I was supposed to play a song on air, and I had my guitar out, and I was shaking so bad I couldn't play. I'm like, I can't play. I just can't. And he's like, okay, that's fine. We have 30 seconds here. I'll pull a song into, okay, we're good now. It was a little last minute. But
I'm sure he remembers that as well as you do.
Oh, definitely.
Have you seen him since? Do you remember where it was?
It was on that Nova Scotia radio tour. It was in Truro, Nova Scotia,
yeah.
I think.
Man, that would be funny if you ran into that guy again.
Yeah, that was quite the thing. I mean, once you get into the interview, I didn't feel as nervous, but just that lead up, it scared the Jesus out of me.
Is it different, like doing a one-on-one interview as it is to being on stage? Because it's sometimes can be harder to talk to just one person as opposed to having thousands out there.
Definitely, I was gonna say that actually, because it just the way my career went. I started doing radio stuff pretty early in my career, so I didn't have a ton of playing experience behind me, just because I started releasing very early. And comparing the two, I got way more nervous for interviews, especially radio. TV didn't bother me as much, which is weird. Don't ask me why. But radio just got to me. But playing it was fine. Like, once I step on stage, I feel most at home when I'm playing live. And so I would feel maybe a little bit nervous, but once that first chord is strum, I'm good. I'm okay. I can stay there all night, and I'm fine.
What's it like the day of, or a couple hours outside of showtime? Like, what goes through your mind as you're getting ready? Is the anticipation and the waiting the worst part?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Like, definitely show day. If it's like within a day drive of where we live, it's kind of all the nerves are covered up by, okay, did I forget this? Do I need to pack this? Because I manage all our own production, and I own all the equipment, so it's all up to me, because if something gets forgot, it's on this guy.
It's on you.
So I constantly think about that, and then during the drive, I just kind of enjoy the scenery and listen to some music. Then we go and set up and have sound check and argue with each other about whatever. And then afterwards, that time in between sound check and showtime, it is a little bit weird. It feels like a no man's land, because you're kind of like, I have nothing to do.
Everything's been remembered.
It's 9:00 in Kaniak, Saskatchewan. There's nothing here. I think I saw a barn when I came in here.
Of course.
And you're forced to start thinking about, like, okay, during the show, should I do this? Should I do that? No, don't do that. Oh, should I say, no, don't tell that story. That's bad. There's kids in the crowd. And it leads to some weird places just out of pure boredom, really.
But I mean, that's got to be a lot of fun too at the same time.
It definitely is. It turns out to be, like, I mean, some of the coolest things we've been able to do on the road is in between soundcheck and showtime. Like, one time we were in Bethune, Saskatchewan, which isn't too far from our place, but it was far enough that we couldn't just run home. And my drummer is one of my best friends, and he's also a photographer. So he just got a new camera. He's like, hey, we got some time. Let's go take some pictures.
Yeah.
And now those are actually my main press photos, was just those pictures we took around town. Which is kind of neat.
Is that part of the fun being an up-and-coming artist, the spontaneity of the lifestyle? Because you can go and play a show, or you can go out and take photographs. Just the kind of freedom you have.
Oh, definitely. Because, I mean, I'm completely independent, so I run my everything, and it's really cool because I do have friends that are on record labels, and their lives are not that way. They have a schedule for everything. If they're on the road or working as music, their schedule is made up for them, which is kind of cool in a way because they don't have to think about it. But at the same time, they have to keep track of it, and there's no room for, like, hey, let's go see a waterfall in the Northwest Territories while we're driving to a gig. It's very down to the minute military time. And it's cool to be able to enjoy this time while I have it, because, I mean, hopefully I get to, like, major label status someday.
That's the goal, right?
But it's nice to have a peek into that world now so that I know what to enjoy in this time while I have it, because the worst thing to do is pass by something and then look back and go, oh man, like, I should have done that while I was there. But yeah, so I try not to do that. I try to live with no regrets, as many tattoos say.
Good one. I like that. Take us through your songwriting, guy, because, you know, for people who don't write songs, it so blows their mind how someone like you can sit down and write a song, whether it takes 5 minutes or, you know, sometimes 5 weeks or even 5 months. How do you go about the process of writing a song?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, because just beginning of this year, I started going down to Nashville for songwriting trips, and when I would tell people I'm going down to Nashville next week or whatever, however it would come up in the conversation, they would always say, "Oh, are you recording down there?" I was like, "No, I'm just songwriting." And most people that don't songwrite, it was confusing to them that I would fly to another country, the other end of the country, and sit down in a room with a person I've never met before and write a song. It's the most comfortable concept in my mind, but I never thought to stop to think how weird that is. But it really is second nature to me, whether I'm writing by myself or writing with someone else. You just kind of sit down, you come up with an idea, and you go with it. And sometimes the idea stems from a guitar riff, and sometimes it stems from a line. Like, usually when I'm in Nashville, the last few times I've been there, we sit down in a room and we throw back and forth song titles. So every songwriter has a book of song titles, and they're just titles. There's nothing more to it. It's just a title. And usually they kind of have an idea of a theme behind that title. And we just kind of throw that back and forth, and then one of us goes, "Hey, actually, I really like that. Let's run with that," and it becomes the song you work on. And yeah, and it feels like a very natural, organic process to me. And I do know that, like, before I was this experience, I'm still not an expert songwriter by any means, but I'm a lot more experienced than I was when I was writing in the garage with my dad. And I think back to those times, and I remember thinking, like, how do these people write these songs? Like, how do they write these cool songs that you hear on the radio? And I still can't answer that question, but I now can mimic it, or not mimic it, but write things that are similar. And it's purely because I've just had the experience of writing. And I don't think anybody can specifically answer how you write this type of song. It's just kind of, it happens. And you can get as algorithmic as you want. There's lots of songwriting books where, okay, you never refer to the character in the song in the third person. It's always you're singing to the listener. Or your verse, it needs to be X amount of bars long, so you get to the chorus in so much time. I don't write like that. I never have, and hopefully never will, because kind of bothers me that music becomes that, like, Excel spreadsheet. But yeah, it's a very natural process, and it seems like second nature to me now. And the people I hang around are all songwriters, so when we're talking about it, it's just like walking your dog, basically. Hey, I wrote a song today. Cool, I wrote two. But yeah, so it's hard to describe, but it's really just sitting down, writing words, and putting music to them, and you slowly get better at it as you progress. There's no real, like, you have to do this as a songwriter to get better. It's just kind of, you do it.
Yeah. Now, do you attribute your love of different type of music to helping you be able to write? 'Cause you say you hate the thought of a song being like on a spreadsheet or algorithmic. There's so many bands that you actually mimic or at least listen to and emulate, that it's all over the place. Like you're a buckshot when it comes to the kind of music you like. Do you think that helps you as an artist?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's funny. Like, you should hear throughout my writing catalog. I mean, when I'm picking music for my own album, I try to stay within a little bit of a vein so that I sound like me. But in the same way, sounding like me is going from like a Stevie Ray Vaughan blues tune to all of a sudden it's a super pop, like new country type thing. Because I do, yeah, you're right. I do listen to absolutely everything. I was raised on George Strait, Bryan Adams, and Queen. So there's like three very staunchly different.
So very wide net there.
Yeah. And it definitely helps because like I have no problem jumping into a different genre mode when I'm writing or when I'm even in the studio producing, because there's been times where like even songs that I don't write, you get a demo and it has it's a polished demo and it sounds like a song. And usually, especially the ones that I get from my publisher, they're from Nashville, so they're this modern country. They're trying to make them sound like they could be a hit on radio. And we get into the studio, and there's been times where it's like, we need to change this. Like, this isn't me. It's not that it's bad. It's just not me. And so it's like, hey, what if we like crank the guitar up to 11 and just go crazy on it? And
is it weird?
Worked.
Is it weird that you can suggest that? Because some guys will get in the studio and they're just happy to be there, and it's, oh yeah, whatever you guys think is best. When you start making it your own, what was that experience like?
It was a very long process. It started with my first album. I started recording it in 2014, and I was exactly that way. I got in there. I'm like, you guys know, I don't know. And if I suggested an idea, I was like, what about, like, maybe, what do you think about this? And it was weird, but now I've realized that, and I tell other artists starting out, because that's a question I get a lot of the time, like, it's your project, you're paying for it, and it's going to be your name on it.
Yeah.
Even though all the musicians and the producers and the engineers and everybody that worked on it, they're going to be in the liner notes. But at the end of the day, on the front cover, it's like you.
Yeah, they'll take credit down the road.
Exactly. But it's your name going out behind it, and it's your voice on the record. So you need to make it your own, and you need to make sure you be happy with it. You definitely need to take the input of other people in the studio, because the last thing you want to do is hire a producer and not use their input, because there's a reason you have a producer.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to work with Bart McKay, who produced Brett Kissel's last umpteenth albums. And he did Doc Walker and Gord Bamford and Shane Yellowbird, everybody basically. And if I got into the studio and just kept my mouth shut, it would turn out fine because he knows what he's doing. But he wants me to collaborate, and we've been working together long enough now that it's funny. We'll be recording, and like I'll be cutting vocals, for example, and I'll be in the booth, and he'll say, "Can you do, I don't know what, but something different here? Like I don't know what you need to do, but just do something different." And I'm gonna go, "Oh yeah. I could totally do something. Okay, just play it back. I'll try some. I do some. Perfect. Yeah, that's what I was thinking." And it's weird because neither of us said anything.
But you just kind of knew.
But we just knew because we work on the same wavelength because we're just kind of nuts. But yeah, that's the beauty of collaborating. And if you just told everybody what to do, it's also not going to work out. Because even Bart, when we're recording tracks, like he asks the musicians what they think too, because their input's going to help too. Even though he's the producer, at the end of the day, he makes the decision about what guitar part they use. Like, you want to feel the musicians too, because you want stuff to sound like them as well, because even though they're session guys and they're hired to play whatever's put in front of them, they still have a sound.
Yeah, you still have the heart and the soul of a song.
Exactly.
And they have to feel it the same as you do, or else, like you said, it comes out very stilted.
Yeah, and it's a very stagnant feeling and sounding thing. And
yeah,
so,
and again, it's your name on it, right? So you have to feel as confident in it as possible, and you need them to love it as much as you do.
Definitely. Yeah, exactly.
You say talking to young artists, and you're still a young artist as well. So
Yeah.
how do you balance the working relationship with the trust and the support? Because all three have to work really simultaneously for any artist to be successful.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, thankfully, I haven't been kind of cheated as of yet, and I don't foresee myself being that ever, because really, like, I mean, media makes the music industry look like a dog-eat-dog world, but it's not as bad as people think. Like, everybody really is friends. Even if they don't see each other much, even if they don't talk much, they really are friends, because everybody wants everybody else to succeed. There isn't this toxic, like, no, I'm gonna chart higher than you, and that's just the end of it. Like, you want other people to succeed. I mean, I lost Male Artist of the Year at the SCMAs to Chris Henderson. Am I happy I lost? No, but am I happy for him? Yes, because I'm really good friends with him. I've known him for a while. He's one of the guys that helped me a lot when I was starting out, and so there's not going to be any hard feelings. He didn't do anything.
He didn't steal it from you.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't win it, and then him run up and grab it. Although
so he didn't Kanye West you. So
No. I mean, it might have happened if I had won. I definitely could see him just kind of bolting up there. But no, it's not a competitive thing. I mean, there is a little bit, in a good way, in a healthy way, because you want to be constantly improving. And so if you hear your buddy put out a record, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is awesome. I need to up my game. That's a great thing. But yeah, so like it's not competitive, and there's a lot of support, and I've felt a lot of support coming up through the last few years, and even now, there's a lot of people that I don't know, and even if I meet them for the first time, they're like, here's my number, text me whenever you have questions. I'm always happy to help, and that's led to some really cool relationships that have helped me a lot, just because people are open to advice. And so I try to pay that forward, because it's weird being in a position now that there's artists starting out younger than me, because I was always the youngest.
Right.
And like there was nobody like starting out with less experience than me. But now I've been doing it for 5+ years, and I'm in that position that there are young people starting out.
Well, and they can relate to you a little bit more, right? Because you're closer in age to them.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're asking a guy that's been in the business for 25 years, and they can ask kind of you, and it makes them feel a little safer.
Exactly, yeah, and it's also different information, because I asked newer artists or very current artists too when I was starting on. I still do, because they're the people that know what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Like Chris, for example, he's always he's still releasing, and every single he charts quite well for an independent artist. So I'll ask him information all day. But I know people that were in the industry 20 years ago, their tips about like production or the sound of a song or contacting radio, it's going to be a little different, because they used to mail in CDs.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
It's not quite that way anymore.
Or a tape. Do you know what a tape is?
Oh my gosh. I was just at the end of tapes. I had a tape player as a kid, but I didn't really fully understand what it was. I just knew CDs. CDs were in play.
Hey, it works. Man, it's so funny talking to such a young guy, but yeah, you're so experienced, it's a really cool dynamic you have. The past 3 years have been crazy, dude. How do you balance working on so much music and still trying to have a life and be young and enjoy those years that you got?
I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll look back in 30 years and go, man, what a waste. But I don't think so, because honestly, I thoroughly enjoy every minute of this, and there's a lot of stuff that it's a lot easier to do while I'm young, so I might as well go for it, because, I mean, hey, I got a lot of life left to live, so if something goes down the drain now, it's a lot easier to recover from than if I'm in my 30s. And so, yeah, I absolutely love it, and I still make time to go out with friends and just enjoy myself, and just maybe happens to be that my friends are musicians, or twice my age, because I hang out with old older people, not old, but older,
Experienced
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love it, and I don't feel like I lost anything from that thus far, just because I've got to experience different things than most kids my age, but doesn't mean I didn't experience anything.
You have 2 albums, 14 songs. You produced 5 music videos, released 7 singles to radio. Look, you're laughing. Like that's like when you put it.
It sounds insane
It
when
does.
you put it beside each other, though.
But it is. It's insane to read that. I mean, like, do you ever just like look at kind of your workload of what you've already done and just think like, man, that is nuts.
Yeah. I mean, but the funny thing is I don't look back on that stuff until I'm putting together a package to send out to people. So I'm like writing it and thinking about it. That can't be right. Oh my God, that is right. Oh wow. But yeah, I don't think about that. I'm always thinking, all right, what's next?
Yeah. See, because maybe for us on the outside, it's like, man, you're a workaholic. But you're kind of like a funaholic because you enjoy doing it so much, right?
Yeah, I enjoy my work so much that it's not work. I mean, there definitely is times like when I'm working on a demo. There was one I could not get this one. This is the nerdiest thing in the world, but there was a frequency on one of the vocal tracks that was driving me absolutely insane, and I could not find it for the life of me. I spent 5 hours listening to the same section of a vocal track, just the same 30 seconds, over and over and over and over and over again. That was work. I did not enjoy that.
Yeah, that does. Even explaining that, I can hear the pain in your voice. You went right back to that moment.
Yeah, that's PTSD right there. But everything else about it, I absolutely love. So it never feels like work to me, and so it just comes so easy to do so much. And it's funny because I got back from Nashville and then was playing some shows, did the SCMAs, and then I had a day off and came straight out here. And everybody that I was like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm gone next week on a radio tour. They're like, but you just got home. Like, wow, you don't let grass grow under your feet. And it's like, well, no, this is just what I do. I like it.
I got still a couple more for you. Are we still good with time? Yeah, we're still good. All right. Before we get into some of the festivals and events you've played in some of your favorites, I want to talk about what it's like to perform at wards for local children's hospitals. That's got to be such a unique experience. So why do you do it, and what's it like?
So why I do it is, as a kid, I was pretty sick. I was in and out of the hospital quite a bit with a rare condition that I still have, but it's settled down for the most part now. But I know what it's like to be sitting in a hospital at 5 years old or whatever age. It doesn't even matter. But when you're young, you don't really understand what's happening. You know you're sick, but you don't know why. You don't know how. You don't understand what's going on. You're in this scary room that looks like something bad's about to happen because, I mean, hospital rooms are not warm and friendly. Even the children's ward, it's still kind of freaky. Tile everywhere. So I like to do it that way because I can really relate to what they're going through. And it's something close to my heart that way. So I try to make time at least once a year to go to the children's ward in Regina. Usually ends up being around Christmas time, not deliberately, just that's the way it happens, which is kind of fun. Because I mean the kids are excited about Christmas, and it just helps brighten their week, brighten their day. Getting some music, and they really enjoy it. And usually, I have to go from room to room because a lot of the kids can't get out of bed. But yeah, I do that, and I try to support the Jim Pattison's Children's Hospital Foundation, which is building the Children's Hospital in Saskatoon, which is absolutely huge for us because before that, if a child needed specialist care, it had to be Edmonton. So they were either airlifted or had to be driven. And their families, if they wanted to be with their child, they had to go to Edmonton. And so they'd have to pay for a hotel or find a friend to stay with. And drive the 8 hours. I know a guy that every weekend he would drive to Edmonton to see his kid, and that's an 8-hour drive from Regina. So every Friday night, right after work, 5 o'clock, he would go, and he would drive through the night, and then Sunday night he would do the same, and he wouldn't even go home. He'd get to his workplace on Monday morning after driving through the night, and that was the dedication he had to his kid. But being able to do that 2 hours from Regina or 2 hours from PA or wherever it is, like Saskatoon's pretty centralized, and having that resource would be absolutely huge for the province. And so I've been working really hard to help them get to that, and it's going to be open very soon, so I'm pretty excited.
Now I can hear just how much it uplifts you to go and do that stuff with the Children's Hospital, and you'll always have a special place for those performances. But on a bigger stage, you know, in front of thousands of people, which one stands out to you? What event have you done that you can actually picture in your mind as your maybe favorite?
Yeah, there's a couple. Probably there's two. There's two of my favorites, and they're on different ends of the show spectrum. So the first one is your classic, like we had a big stage and there was lots of people and they were singing along all night and they were dancing and it was awesome. There was like, I don't know, 600-700 people in a arena in Weyburn, Saskatchewan. It was awesome. From the moment we stepped on stage to the moment we forced them to let us off, it was amazing, and they were hanging on every word, and I absolutely loved it. Now, my other favorite would be a complete opposite of that, where everybody was calm. It was in a small theater. It was just me and a guitar, and I was opening for the Wilkinsons, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not a bad day.
They've been nominated for Grammys, man. No biggie. And some of the nicest people you meet. But so I got to open for them, and it was kind of a last minute thing too, which was also neat. But I was there, and it was just me on this empty stage in front of however many people were in the theater, and it was dead quiet. And they were listening to everything I said and everything I sang. So much so that they were so in tune. There was a false ending on one of my songs, and they started clapping right away. And I went, no, sorry. There's more. Hold on. Thank you, though. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're
with me.
Yeah, thank you for like jumping on the applause right away. But that was really cool to get to experience that level of intimacy with that many people, and in that situation, because it's not every day you get to open for a legendary Canadian country trio. So those would be my two favorite. Big production, like crazy rock and roll party show in Weyburn, and then like quiet acoustic singer-songwriter showcase in Moose Jaw at a theater.
Getting to experience both, it's got to be something very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about the single, We Ran Out.
Yeah, so that was my last single. It was my very first charting single. It got to number 82 on the media-based charts, which was absolutely awesome. And it opened a ton of doors for me in the past year, which was amazing. And it led to some really cool releases lately. So I had a Christmas single.
Yeah. Does that do well with the kids at Christmas?
Yeah. I mean, everybody loves it.
Well, I love the title.
Drunk on Christmas Cookies.
Well, we've all been there, man. It's cool. I mean,
yeah, that one is fun. I didn't actually know it was going to be released as a single because it was on a charity compilation album that a friend of mine was putting together, and he decided to release it as a single, and he told me by sending me the first chart report. Hey, we broke top 100. I'm like, huh? Oh, should I be like promoting this? Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, it's good. I'm on it. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. So I mean, now I have 2 top 100 songs, which is crazy, and one of them is about getting drunk on cookies.
Yeah. Hey,
I
man,
mean,
like I said, everybody can relate,
right? Yeah. I mean, hey. So yeah, it's cool, and it's led into this new release and new season, which is really fun for me.
All right, so you're here now doing the radio tour. How much longer are you on this radio tour?
A long time actually. Today is my last day in Manitoba. Going to Winnipeg after this, and then next week we're going to Alberta and doing a bunch of stations, and then I have a little bit of time in the beginning of May to play some shows because I couldn't get the time off, and then for the last part of May we're doing a bunch of BC stations because I've never really done any BC radio stuff before. I've played out there, but just time-wise never had the chance to drive from station to station. So that's going to be about 2 weeks out in BC, which I'm so sad about.
Yeah, it sounds like you're heartbroken.
It's so terrible.
It's so beautiful, and all these mountains. As a prairie kid seeing nothing but flat land for hours. It's like, oh, the mountains. How dare you get in the way?
The ground's sticking up. What?
And it's warm.
Yeah.
And it's evening, and it's warm still.
And there's no mosquitoes.
No. What a terrible place to be for 2 weeks.
I know. It's awful.
I feel for you, man. I hope you make it through. I do. I really hope you do. So after all of the radio tour is said and done, what comes next for you?
More shows. This summer we're going to be on the road basically constantly, starting in June and going all the way to the end of September.
Can we expect you in Manitoba?
I hope so. It's looking like July might work out in a couple spots, but we're working on it.
How weird is it to be, you hope to go somewhere, you hope to play. Now, it's not like, oh, can I please play? It's, oh, I really hope I can find the time to play. How weird is that for you?
It's really weird. The first time I had to turn down a show because I was already booked that weekend hurt my soul, because you go so long with, you say yes to absolutely everything, and that's the best tip for anybody starting in music. Don't say no. If unless you're losing money, like you have to pay to play or something, just don't say no. Play anywhere. The places I've played would shock you, and the things I've seen would horrify anybody. But I played. I played anywhere. If I was open, I would play. But the first time I was busy enough that I had to turn down a paying gig because I was already booked at another one. Not that either one was better or worse. Yeah. It just hurt me. It was like, this feels wrong. And it's a progression further from there, where now when I'm planning shows, it's not like, especially in Western Canada, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, it's not a matter of, I'd like to play there in that area. It's, do we have time? Like, can we make this work route-wise? Can we make it work? Can we get the band out here at that time? And it's interesting going from the, like, starry-eyed kid, like, oh, I'd love to play in Manitoba someday, to, all right, so we can. Now how?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is weird. I don't think about that much, but now that I think about it, it is very odd to transition to that point.
Okay, so for people now that have listened and heard you speak and now are going to become fans of you as a person and you as an artist,
hopefully,
where can people get information? How can people follow along? And if you do come, when your tour schedule does get released, where can people find information?
Anywhere online. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just look up Justin Labrash, and I should come up. And also my website, labrash.net. That's where I post my full show schedule. So right now there's a couple of things. Everything that hasn't been released will be released on there very soon in full. And you can also get any physical CDs or merchandise on there through the store, and just kind of keep up to date. So yeah. Oh, and also YouTube, I guess. I forget that in the social media thing.
Yeah.
Always Facebook, Instagram. But yeah, any of those things, just look up Justin Labrash, and I should come up. If I don't, let me know, because I need to talk to somebody about the whole name thing.
So after we wrapped up the original interview, we're getting ready to perform the live song in Country 107. Justin and his mom started talking about a funny story involving poison ivy. So this is kind of off of mic, on mic mix, but this is the only time Justin has ever told this story publicly, and it goes like this.
It was a stop on the side of the road type thing,
and really, you just Well, I guess you learn as you go, right? Good Lord.
And then it got so much worse after that point.
Well, if the start of the story is I stopped on the side of the road and it ends with poison ivy, you can put 2 and 2 together, and yeah, it sounds like it sucks.
Yeah, it ended with my buddy and I washing each other's legs in a Tim Hortons bathroom in High Level, Alberta. And it gets worse though. So cause Mom told us go wash off the poison ivy juice or hairs, whatever it is. Yeah, you did. You said put soap. So we just run in there. We're dying. So the 2 of us run into this bathroom and we both put our legs up on the sink and we can't reach our own legs.
Oh, dear.
So we start washing each other's. It was that dire. And
that dire.
The soap made it so much worse. So all of a sudden, these poor patrons of the Tim Hortons out of this family bathroom could hear 2 guys just screaming in pain.
What could you imagine was going on in that bathroom if you're sitting there?
I don't want to think about what I'd think about. And yeah, we open the door.
4 years old. Sorry,
that's even.
Yeah, and then we open the door and the entire van is just standing outside the door going, "Hi." It's like, thanks.
How's your day going?
Thanks for the help.
Just.
Oh, it all works out.
He calls it a character builder, to be sure. So after that was done, we sat down and did the live song, and this is it right here.
I think I'll play the new single. It's called "Way Crazy." I wrote this just about, well, I mean, like when you're in a happy relationship, the girl always makes you just a little bit crazy, drives you a little bit nuts, but in a good way. It's always in a good way. Not always, but the good situations is always in a good way. So, "Way Crazy" is about that good crazy. Didn't take very long for me to fall for you. I looked into my eyes and then I saw your baby blues. A crowd all around, but you caught my eye. Like you were dancing just for me. But then I went way, way, way crazy. Making my head spin, girl. Feel like I'm on a tilt-a-whirl. Way, way, way crazy. Can't believe that I found you, baby. You're the one that makes me way, way, way crazy about you. Then I walked over to you and said, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" You said no, but come on, let's dance. And then he gave me a little wink. Now, girl, I ain't no fool. You know I'm pretty smart. But I ain't gonna act like I ain't crazy. Way, way, way crazy. Making my head spin, girl. Feel like I'm on the tilt-a-whirl. Way, way, way crazy. Can't believe that I found you, baby. You're the one that makes me way, way, way crazy about you. Girl, I've never felt this way about anyone before. You got me buzzing right down to the core. Way, way, way crazy. Making my head spin, girl. Feel like I'm on a tilt-a-whirl. Way, way, way crazy. Can't believe that I found you, baby. You're the one that makes me crazy.
So big thanks to Justin Labrash for coming in and spending so much time for us. Follow him on social media and keep an eye on this kid. He is fantastic. Anytime we do interviews on Country 107 with all the amazing artists that take time to come through, you can find the full, unedited right here on the Country 107 page through steinbackonline.com. Who will be next? Well, you'll have to wait to find out.